How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about this Georgia teen with no prior criminal record being sentenced to 5 years in the penitentiary for stealing a pair of $100 shoes. I guess they're called the Oreos. I don't know if these are some Jordans, Nikes, or whatever. I don't know anything about shoe culture, but I'll place information about the shoes in question in the box below, maybe even on the screen if I'm able to find a picture. Now, when you hear that headline that I just read, 5 years in jail, stealing a pair of shoes, you may think automatically this is injustice. The boy was 15 years old when it happened. How can this be? What's going on with our justice system? This is totally corrupt. But what you don't know is the full story. And I think a lot of people don't know the full story. All they read is the headline and they don't bother to read the article. If they bothered to read the article, then they would know the reality of what's happening. First of all, the boy, 15 years old, Dayonn Davis, he and a friend went to a place to meet a guy who they responded to from an online ad. I'm not sure what the exact site was or app, but it was an online ad for the shoes. The seller was trying to get rid of them. Dayonn and his friend, or at least Dayonn, expressed interest. So Dayonn and his friend show up at the spot where the purchase is supposed to happen. Dayonn tries on the shoes. He says, "These shoes is took." Those were his words, which means I'm going to steal these shoes from you right now. I suppose the guy who was selling the shoes tried to get him back or tried to fight him. Dayonn's friend allegedly put out a gun at that point. Now it becomes an armed robbery. Dayonn's defense was he didn't know that his friend was going to do that, so he shouldn't have to go to jail. And that is the defense of many people who are writing articles in his defense. Oh, I didn't know he was going to pull out a gun. I was just trying to steal the shoes. Okay, first of all, if you didn't know he was going to pull out a gun and you thought it was a bad thing, once that gun comes out, at that point, you take the shoes off and give them back to the guy, because you don't want to be involved in nothing like that. But you don't do that. They found the shoes in your closet, in your house, your grandma's house, mama's house, whatever. They found the shoes on you. So the guy pulls out a gun to basically assist you steal the shoes, which at that point became armed robbery, and you accept the shoes. That means you are an accomplice to armed robbery. You took the shoes from the guy with the intention of stealing them, and then the guy pulls out a gun. Now, what I think happened here was they probably charged him with conspiracy to commit armed robbery because it was probably already planned out. This is the typical thing that happens on a lot of these online sites where you go to sell things. A person will have a pair of Jordans, flat screen TV, whatever. You agree to meet up. It might be at night sometimes, which is obviously the wrong thing to do, which is why they have little spots you can go to with police to do these exchanges. But I digress. I'm going to get on topic. They probably meet at night. And the plan from the beginning from Dayonn and his friend was most likely to rob the guy. Dayonn was like, okay, I'm going to try on the shoes, and then I'm going to say, these are mine. And if you try to resist, you pull out the gun, and then we can just get away. That is called conspiracy to commit armed robbery, unlawful use of a firearm, maybe even assault, battery. You got a lot of different things that can happen as far as charges are concerned in this particular case. But the most important thing here is the gun used in commission of a robbery. So a 5-year sentence is not really that long. He actually got off with an easy sentence. And that brings me to my next point about this whole situation. People talking about prison reform, criminal justice reform, saying that black men get too much time. We get more time than white men. That's not really true. There are a lot of cases just like this where a young black male is given off with a light sentence. The reason why they do get off with a light sentence a lot of times is because of what the media says. The media says that black men are being treated unfairly and harshly. So that trickles down to the courts, to the judges, to the lawyers, prosecutors, or whatever. And then they make it a personal thing to give these black men less time because they think that they get charged in crimes unfairly and then sentenced unfairly, disproportionately from that of white males. But that's not really the case. In these urban inner city areas where that kind of attitude is pervasive, you have a lot of guys that go in and out of jail on very serious crimes. I know at least 20 guys in jail right now, or at least 20 that have been in jail recently. And a lot of them have very serious crimes and don't get that much time. Okay. And if you look at the actual numbers, you see that you see cases just like this all over the country. 5 years for armed robbery, really? And it was like, it was a conspiracy. It was a setup. See, it's different if you just happen to run into somebody on the street and, randomly rob them. But when you respond to an ad for a sale and then your whole plan the entire time is to rob them with a gun, see, now you're getting into something different. Now that's premeditated. You executed it. Everything went the way you wanted it to go, except for being caught, which he is now in that position. So, 5 years in the penitentiary, that's what you get when you rob people using a gun or any other means. And shame on the mainstream media for trying to make it appear to be something that it's not. Talking about he stole a pair of shoes. No, he did not just steal them. When you hear that word steal, you think about shoplifting, a snatch and grab from a foot action in the mall. You don't think about he set up a robbery and went through with it to get a pair of shoes, which is all too common. Some would say that the price of the shoes makes a difference. Not really to these guys. These guys are willing to risk their freedom in their life for a pair of shoes just to look cool. He probably wasn't even going to sell them. He probably was just going to keep them and wear them to school. Which is dumb. You're going to throw your whole life away for a pair of shoes to look cool. I don't care how much you get bullied. I don't care how much these shoes are popular. It's not worth risking your life. It's not worth, because turn it the other way around. The boy who got robbed could have had a gun on him. And then when that gun comes out, or when he suspected the gun might come out, now you got a murder on your hands. Is it worth risking your life, throwing your life away to get a pair of shoes to look cool for girls in school, which, by the way, don't even really care about your shoes, but that's a different story? Obviously, it's not. And this is a lesson in that. He should have got more time, honestly, but he's 15, so they're trying to go easy on him. He might turn his life around, all this, that, and the third. But at the end of the day, I think the moral of the story here is, do not just go off of the headline of an article. Do a little bit more digging. Read the article, maybe. Do some research to understand what's happening before you cast judgment. So what do you think? Do you think the sentence was too long? I've seen people talk about Brock Turner, how he got 3 months for a rape charge, which was a way different case. I think that was a case where two people got drunk and then something happened that shouldn't have happened. It wasn't like this premeditated thing. It's just not the same thing. I'm not saying the sentence was long enough. Obviously, it wasn't, considering what he got convicted of. But at the same time, I think the situation was much different than a Bill Cosby, where he spikes your drink and then sexually assaults you. Much different than that. They were both under the influence, and they shouldn't have been. Most certainly, Brock Turner shouldn't have been. If you want to say his sentence was too short for what he did, there are a lot of guys right now who are walking free who have committed murder and all types of stuff due to witness intimidation and everything else. But I digress. My whole point here is this: you cannot look at one case where the sentence you think may be too light and then compare it to another one where you think the sentence was too harsh. Look at the whole thing, the whole scope in totality when you're talking about racial differences. What do we do? Why do we do it? How often do we do it? Where do we do it? All these things actually matter when it comes to your sentencing. But at the end of the day, to speak about this case specifically in Georgia, what do you think? Was the sentence too harsh? Was it too soft? Whatever your comments are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.